Hello students, today we are going to start a new chapter of your history, that is When People Rebel, 1857 and after. So in the previous lectures, in the previous chapters, we have seen that how British or East India Company came as a company and started to flourish their trade in India. Slowly when how they started entering the administration, started taking the powers of the economy and of the land related powers, then how slowly they started capturing the territories, then about indigo plantation and what all reforms they started bringing in the country. So how they become traders, how they came as traders and how they became the rulers in the country. And in the previous chapters we have also studied the doctrine of lapse and subsidiary alliances, all these policies that the Britishers introduced. Now, when East India Company established power in India, it affected the life of Indian kings, as we all have seen. Queens, landlords, peasants, tribals and soldiers in many different ways. So we have seen through indigo plantation and through tribals chapter that how their lives have been affected. Now, many of them revolted against the policies enforced by the Britishers. So it was not like that they have accepted their policies, but they have also rebelled. The Nawabs who ruled the land till then slowly lost their power. So after this Mughals, there were Nawabs all over. So slowly they also lost wars against Britishers and they also lost all their powers. The Nawabs and the Rajas lost all their authority and honor. British residents were stationed in all the courts to monitor the proceedings, thus undermining the authority of the Nawabs. So, if there was a Nawab also at some place, so there were some British presidents who were kept there to monitor that what all decisions and what all things the Nawab is doing. The Nawab's armies were disbanded and the freedom of the rulers was reduced. So the Nawab was not having any army keeping authorities. All the authorities were given to the Britishers and they don't have this freedom to keep their own armies. And the revenue collected by the Nawabs was also taken by the Britishers and the territories were also seized. So there was no territory left for the Nawabs or the Rajas in India. All the territory belonged to Britishers and they tell Rajas and Nawabs how to rule in the country. Now, many ruling families try to negotiate with the company in order to protect their interest. So, many ruling families, like the people, those who were ruling, the people, those who were the Rajas at that time, so they tried to have a conversation with the Britishers so that they can also protect their interest, like they also wanted to rule. So if there is any settlement possible between them and the Britishers, they tried to do that. Rani Lakshmi Bai wanted the company to recognize her adopted son as their heir to the kingdom after the death of her husband. So in the doctrine of lapse, we have already seen that policy that if a king and a queen doesn't have their own heir, then that territory will be taken over by the Britishers. So Rani Lakshmi Bai also said that they have their adopted son and their king has died, so let their adopted son be the king of their kingdom. Nana Sahib was the adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao II. When Peshwa Bajirao II died, Nana Sahib pleaded with the British company to give him his father's pension. The British refused to do so as they had many military power to defeat him in case of the revolt. So the Britishers did not listen to them also when Marathas tried to convince them to give them some pension and anything, but they have this thing in their mind, the Britishers, that if anybody revolted, then they have military power and they can easily defeat the other person. So in 1801, a subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh. Governor General Dalhousie declared that the state was being misgoverned by Nawab Wajid Ali Shah and imposed British rule for a proper administration. In 1856, Awadh was taken over by British. It was one of the last territories to be annexed by the British. So in 1801, what happened? Governor Dalhousie said that people there are not satisfied, and administration is also not running good in Awadh. So this territory will be now belonging to Britishers only. So Awadh was taken over by the Britishers, and it was the last territories that British annexed. Before that, all the parts of the country have been taken over by the Britishers, and Awadh was the last, and they also took that. Now, Bahadur Shah Zafar was the last Mughal emperor. Everybody knows this. In 1849, Governor General Dalhousie announced that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family of the king would be shifted out of the Red Fort and given another place to live in Delhi. So, all the Mughals and all, they used to live in Red Fort in Delhi. So, after Bahadur Shah Zafar, they told that when he will die, nobody will and nobody can live in that Red Fort, and they were given some other place. In 1857, after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, Governor General Canning decided that his descendants would not be recognized as kings but only be called princes. Now nobody will be king, only princes. Thus, slowly but decisively, the power of all the Nawabs were taken by the Britishers. So, not all of a sudden, slowly, but Nawabs lost their powers. Now, loss of the power for the Nawabs. Since the mid 18th century, the power of Nawabs and Rajas had been ending, so eroding. So they were having less powers. The authority and the honor which they earlier commanded were gradually waning away. So what was happening? Earlier Rajas and Nawabs had their own authority, own powers, but slowly those powers were not with them. All the powers were taken by the Britishers. The British had appointed residents in many courts. So some of the people of British East India Company, they used to live in the court to see whether proper things are happening and Rajas and Nawabs are not doing anything against them. The freedom of the Indian rulers was reduced and the armed forces were disabled. So they were not allowed to keep any armed forces. They can't have their own army. They can't fight independently, and the company also took away the revenues and territories in stages, and at different stage that okay, this year you have not done good, so your territory and your revenue will not be yours. So everything was under Britishers. Now, failed negotiation of ruling families. Many ruling families tried to negotiate with the company to protect their interests, but they failed. Negotiate means to find a middle way, that okay, some things you keep, some powers let us keep, but no, they didn't agreed on any of them. So let us take an example of Rani Lakshmibai of Jhansi. After the death of her husband, she wanted her adopted son to be recognized as the heir of the kingdom, that her son should be the next ruler. Similarly, Nana Sahib, who was adopted son of Peshwa Bajirao too, wanted his father's pension when the Peshwa died, but company had turned down all such requests. They don't want to listen to any such request like give them some in which ruling families will get some powers. They only wanted their power should be the supreme one in the entire country. Then next what happened? Annexation of Awadh. A subsidiary alliance was imposed on Awadh in 1801 and it was fully taken over in 1856. Misrule by the Nawab was given as the reason for the annexation of Awadh. So by 1856 only Awadh was left as a state or a territory where Nawab used to rule, and when subsidiary alliance was imposed there, so in 1856 Britishers took over that. And what do they say? Why are they taking over that place? Because Nawab is not efficient and the administration is not going good. Therefore they have taken Awadh also in their control. Now what were their plans to end the Mughal dynasty? The company was also working on its plan to bring the Mughal dynasty to an end. They don't wanted that Mughal should rule anymore. It removed the name of the Mughal king from the coins. So earlier when there were coins of Mughals, they removed their names. In 1849 it was announced by Governor General Dalhousie that after the death of Bahadur Shah Zafar, the family of the king would be shifted out of the Red Fort. It was announced that they would be given another place in Delhi as residence. So they didn't didn't wanted to enjoy them any privileges or any rights that these Mughals enjoyed earlier. In 1856, it was decided by Governor General Canning that Bahadur Shah Jafar would be the last Mughal king. And it was also announced that after him there will be no king, and none of his descendants will be called. Descendants means the people of his family who will come after Bahadur Shah Zafar. They will not be called as kings, but they will only be called princes. So all the powers, all the titles of Mughals, Nawabs, Rajas has been taken away. Now what happened to the peasants and the sepoys? Peasants were not happy with high taxes and the rigid methods of revenue collection. We have already seen in indigo plantation that how cruel were the Britishers to the peasants. So many peasants had lost the land and they have been tilling for generation because of their failure to repay their loans. So the land which belonged to them for many years, it had just lost to Britishers because they were not able to pay their loans. And the Indian sepoys means those who worked for the British army in India. So they were not happy about their pay, allowance and conditions of service. So they were not given proper payment and उनकी जो सर्विस हुआ करती थी that was also not good. So some of the new rulers violated the religious sensibilities and beliefs because they don't believe in the way the British used to believe. So their religious sentiments were hurt. So they violated the rules. What were their belief against the sea voyage and what was its impact? The Hindus believed that crossing the sea would mean that they would lose their religion and caste. So once if a Hindu person crosses the sea, then he would not be considered or she would not be considered as the part of their caste and religion. So in 1824, when the sepoys were told to go to Burma by the sea route, they refused to follow the order. So there was some war with Burma, and when they were told, the sepoys were told to go there in 1824, they didn't go. However, they agreed to go by land route. So they agreed that they will go through land but not through sea. For this, the sepoys were severely punished, and when they disobeyed, they got a severe punishment. The company passed a new law in 1856. The new law made it mandatory for a sepoy to agree to serve overseas if required. So in the new law, what did the company say? That they have to serve the company in whatever situation may be. So most of the sepoys were from rural background. They had families living in village, so they also reacted to what was happening in the countryside. So they didn't pay any attention to them. Now what were the response to the reforms, the new laws that were made? The British took several steps to reform the society. So it was not like they have done bad only. Some reforms were good for the society also. Like new laws were passed against the practice of sati. What was sati? That if a woman's husband dies, then that woman was also told to sit on that fire and die with her husband only. So they abolished this practice of sati, that no woman will die when her husband dies. The law was also passed to encourage widow remarriage, and at that time what happened, the girls were married at very early age, and if their husband dies, so they have to lead a life of a widow for their entire life. So widow remarriage, that they can also remarry again, they can marry again. Such laws were made. The company officially promoted the English language. Then English language was promoted. After 1830, Christian missionaries were allowed to function freely and they could even own land and property. So those who were Christians, they were allowed to take land and property in India. In 1850, a new law allowed an Indian who had converted Christianity to inherit property of his ancestors. This law made it easier to convert to Christianity. So earlier when people were forced, Indian people were forced, the Hindus, the Muslims were forced to become Christians, they didn't took that. But when this law was made that if you are a converted Christian, then you can take the property of your ancestors. So many people, just to take the property, they converted into Christianity. A feeling was developing among most of the Indians that the British were trying to destroy their religion, social customs and traditional way of life. However, there were some others who wanted to get rid of many social evils. So both kind of people were there. Some people, those who were Indians, felt that Britishers are trying to abolish and destroy their culture. Okay, they want their culture to come in India. But some wanted that in Hinduism, Muslims, there were so many evil practices which were not correct. So they were seeing it as an opportunity to get rid of it. So all these were the things that were happening before 1857. Now kindly go through the video very nicely and read the chapter and the notes attached to it.